How's it going, everybody? So today I will show you something about chorals, but we're actually starting at a church, which is the famous Baclayon Church, which is in Bohol in the central Philippines. And this is one of the oldest churches in the Philippines. I believe it's from the mid-1500s, and this also makes it one of the oldest churches in Asia. Now, this building could really be in Spain or in Italy. If you're looking at the architecture, it's function as a house of worship, but if you look closer, there's a very distinct difference. And so I'm zooming in here into one of the building blocks of this church, and you can see it is composed of chorals. So this church building here is made of the skeletons of marine animals. So you can see the little holes here. Each of these holes would house the polyp of a hard coral when it was still alive. So fascinating, So even the churches are coming from the ocean in the Philippines. Now, obviously, I grew up in Austria, and in Europe we definitely have no shortage of old churches, but it's still very interesting to me to look at these churches in the Philippines. And one of these other things which is interesting is the construction out of chorals, and the other thing is that even the Catholic faith is a little bit different here. So you saw the Señor Santo Niño, which is a saint, which is very important here. And obviously this is Jesus. And one thing which is quite noticeable, not all these tourist attractions in the Philippines are so polished. So there's a lot of charm and character to this. So this is the museum attached to the church, and all these statues of saints are standing there, and there is no polished multimedia show coming with it. This is, in many regards, this is still much more alive. And the other thing also is that in Europe, really church attendance and generally faith is on the way out, which I generally think is a good thing, but not so in the Philippines. So all of these churches here are still much more living places of worship, which makes them also in a sense much more interesting and less like museums, what they are sometimes in Europe. And now I swear to God that I didn't arrange this. So this is Pontius Pilatus, who, of course, condemned Jesus to death in the Bible, and there was a bottle of rum next to it. So I did not put that there at all. I found that there, so maybe he had a guilt trip afterwards and he started drinking. Also, there were dogs sleeping on the steps of the church. So this is still much more alive than in many other places. Very interesting to see for me. So I hope you found these thoughts interesting. Yeah, even on land, even in a church, I managed to find marine organisms in the Philippines. And see you next week.